South Africans and citizens of the world.
I've been looking around for salvation. I've been looking around for the truth. All around me I see frustration, and I looked all over till I found you. I sit and listen to your stories, and you're telling me, please don't worry. There's a lot in this world you should know, and love in life is where you should go. If you're looking for somewhere to go, if you're looking for someone to know, if you're looking for someone to guide you, then love in life will guide you.
Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world, and welcome to tonight's live stream. And of course, tonight I'm talking to Christopher Claasen from the Spectrum National Party, and I have got their t-shirt on. Okay, I've always been very interested in the SNP. I think that they've got their heads on in the right place, but they might certainly need a little bit of directing when it comes to what's going on at the moment in South African politics. And we're going to be talking about some very, very interesting stuff. This multi-party charter of South Africa, which has been formulated apparently by the Democratic Alliance. Well, without any further ado, let me get Chris on so we can have this discussion. And by the way, welcome everybody, and I hope you enjoy the live stream. Here we go. Hi, Christopher.
Good evening, Scott. How are you doing?
Excellent, buddy. Excellent. Oh, that's great. Now I can certainly see everything much better than earlier. Just one little suggestion. Can you move your camera down very slightly? Just that's
so?
Yeah, perfect. That's better. I was just about to lose your chin. But that's good. That's good. Now, look, you've had a pretty exciting week, haven't you, with this conference you had on the multi-party charter on South Africa. Tell us how you felt. Did you feel that they got consensus and things progressed well?
Scott, and to all the viewers, first of all, good evening to you, and thank you so much for being on your show again. I think it's our fifth or sixth time on your show.
It probably is.
I'm also
yes.
honored to be part of. Yeah, Scott, you know what? As a new politician, 4 years in politics, to meet with this bigger parties, the Freedom Front in Qatar, Freedom Party, the DA, Freedom Front Plus. You know what? It's really been an honor for me to sit amongst this political parties, leaders, and also Action SA, UIM, and Isenko. It's just been an honor. And I can honestly tell you, there's a lot of bad news on social media regarding this multi-party governing of multi-party charter for South Africa coalition. And I can honestly say, Scott, you know what? I am so impressed. There's so much humbleness amongst these leaders. And I personally, it irritates me to be in the company of arrogant people who sort of pride in them. And I can tell you the relationship that we've built in this 2 days time really blew my mind. None of them say, "Oh, sorry, you are a small party. Sorry, I can't talk with you. I don't." But I'm telling you, Peter Groenewald, all these leaders, John Steenhuisen, you know what? It has been really, I say this in truth, I say it out of my heart, and I say this in honesty. Whoever will talk bad about us, that is a lie, because I'm a pastor and I don't need to lie to the viewers tonight here.
all I can say is that politics makes strange bedfellows. I mean, I really find it extraordinary, for example, that the Democratic Alliance would be looking at a coalition, even though it's a loose coalition, with the Freedom Front Plus. I mean, they are so diametrically opposed when it comes to policies. It's quite extraordinary. Now, look, things haven't been going too smoothly, and I saw you mention about social media and comments that have been made there and stuff like that. But who is the chairperson of the pact?
Okay, yeah. Remember, we are now political parties is like a lot of pit bulls together in one cage.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody's tied up. Just imagine the trouble. Or you know what? We are all politicians. You know what? Politicians like to fight and they like to debate and they're technical. And I think for every Thursday we had a.
Sorry, guys. This is South African internet. Gotta love the South African internet. Okay. Now, Chris, you back? We lost the last.
Okay,
30...
yeah, I think it's the power switch now.
Yeah.
I think it's just over.
Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, it went over to the load shedding just.
Right. Okay. The wonderful load shedding that everybody in South Africa has to put up with. As you can see how that's impacting the internet. Okay. Now, Chris, I think we've gone through that transition now. We lost probably the last minute of what you were saying. Can you just start again on the subject we were talking about?
Yeah, like I said, Scott, remember we are now a lot of political parties together in one room.
Yeah.
And you know what? And did everything go smooth? I would say 95% of the time it went very smooth. We came together to come to an agreement, sign documentation and declarations and so forth. And where we actually changed, where we actually differ from one another is when maybe one sentence wasn't probably not put the way the other one wants it. And then all the team just come together. It's okay, just change that sentence to take that word out there, put that word in. So we just have to make sure that we have the right documentations, the right wording. I think this is where we differ. And I think it doesn't happen only in political parties. It happens also in your own political party itself or in any organization. But no voices were raised. No chairs was flying in the air. so there was really peace. And the independent, when we started this Moonshot Pact, we were sharing, every week there was a different chairperson. So, for example, I will be 1 week the chairperson with an agenda is there. Then I will chair the meeting, and the next week will be other party, and the week the other party. And it went very, very well for the first 6 to 7, actually 8 meetings, until we found a new chairperson, an independent chairperson, William Kumede. He's become the chairperson, and just to make sure that if there is a unsolved matter or whatever, then you will step in and then you will act and make sure that there's peace amongst the political parties. If we had to continue without him, I'm sure we still would have worked. But we felt as a team, as parties feel, let us have an independent, not to take sides, because why? If I'm the chairperson, I can take sides. You understand? Or I can make a decision to benefit our party. And I'm telling you, Professor William Kumede, he blew our mind. His maturity, the way he handled things, even at the convention as well for the 2 days, he really has done an outstanding job. He has been involved also with other coalitions throughout the world as well. And people talk bad about him about that, and he's involved with that, but we don't care where he's involved with.
Sorry, guys, this is the internet again.
But but it went really, really, really well. I'm really impressed with the way what we've achieved in this 2 days time.
Right. Well, look, I had some intel.
Scott,
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Chris?
yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Look, I had
Yes,
some
I can hear you, Scott.
I had some intel sent to me by email about William Gamede, and I thought I'd share this with you
Scott,
because, yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Chris? All right, guys, I'm going to just call Chris back because it looks like we've got a bad line here. Give me a second. Yeah, we've got a bad line. I'm just going to kill this one, and we'll try again. Chris, I'm going to call you back.
Okay.
I'm going to call you back. You've got a bad line.
Okay, Scott.
Okay. Okay, let's try again. Here we go. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Scott. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Perfect. I can hear you.
Okay,
Loud and
fantastic. Look, I was just saying that earlier today I got some intel by email, which talks about William Gamede. And look, I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm just going to tell you what it says, because it's important that when you don't really know the background of people, that it kind of gives you some insight. So I'm just going to read what the email says, okay? And then we'll talk about it. It says, the Democratic Alliance Moonshot Pact is the brainchild of George Soros and the Oppenheimer family. This is why William Gamede was selected as its chairperson. William Gamede is the founder of Democracy Works Foundation, funded by George Soros Open Society Foundation. William Gamede also studied on an Oppenheimer Memorial Trust scholarship, which now makes him an Oppenheimer Fellow. We are already aware of the Oppenheimer's Brenthurst Foundation that paid for John Steenhuisen's trip to Ukraine, and we know that Oppenheimers are funding the Democratic Alliance. It becomes interesting when you see William Gamede, Democracy Work Foundation, is working with the Kgalema Motlanthe Foundation, given the fact that Kgalema Motlanthe himself is on the board of the Brenthurst Foundation of the Oppenheimers. And where do we go here? And what is this pact about if it's not going into coalition with the ANC, where Kgalema Motlanthe oversaw the election of Cyril Ramaphosa at the ANC National Conference with Dren Nupen, who worked for, wait for it, the George Soros Open Society Foundation, before, and is in charge of running ANC presidential elections for numerous years. Dren Nupen is also the wife of Charles Nupen, who is a director of Cyril Ramaphosa's lawyers in the CR17 campaign case, Nupen and Harris. Now, why did John Steenhuisen state he is only willing to go into coalition with the ANC if Cyril Ramaphosa is its leader in 2024? Is this because Oppenheimers funded both the Democratic Alliance and the ANC? Is it because Oppenheimers funded Cyril Ramaphosa's CR17 campaign, or simply because Cyril Ramaphosa was recruited to Urban Foundation by Harry Oppenheimer and Anton Rupert? Even today, Cyril Ramaphosa's business interests held by Futumo Nhleko, who co-founded Pembani Remgro with Johan Rupert. The Democratic Alliance is not unfamiliar with George Soros Open Society Foundation. Helen Ziller served on its board, and Jordan Hill-Lewis, Cape Town's mayor, worked for Ziller. Also, William Gamede serves on the advisory board of Global Public Policy Institute with Alexander Soros, the son of George Soros, who Cyril Ramaphosa has met before. Also, William Gamedi serves on the advisory board of Global Public Policy Institute with Alexandre Soros, the son of George Soros, who Cyril Ramaphosa has met before. Now, I'm just reading out this email, this information that I got in front of me. There seems to be, on the face of it, and this is why I say it's always good to check background information on who you're going to bed with. It seems that they're very tied up with Open Society Foundation. Do you have anything that you found out about this?
Scott, yeah, in the beginning, when we decided to get the independent facilitator and also independent chairperson for this charter, parties were given an opportunity to submit names of candidates they think would deserve to be the chairperson, who's not involved with any political parties. And Professor William Comede's name was mentioned, and also a few others as well. And then there was a voting, and the majority of the votes went to Professor William Comede. He's been involved previously in other coalitions in other places in the world. He has a good reputation. He's neutral, and I think the team were happy because I don't personally knew who he was or the other nominees they recommended by the other political parties. And it's because Spectrum has never been involved with type of negotiations like that. So we accepted it. And all I can say is whatever people think about him or whoever the future chairperson is going to be, all what this pact wants or this charter wants is somebody who is neutral, somebody who's not taking sides. And I think that's the other party leaders will pick it up if he takes sides, and then we will definitely address it. Because I can honestly say that he hasn't favored anybody. No political parties. Time is time. If you got 2 minutes, he stop you, whether you're DA, whether you're Spectrum National Party. 2 minutes is 2 minutes. And I think he's given everybody free chances to make any comments or recommendations. So if that information is the truth, I don't know. I haven't gone so deep in detail. I think the DA and other parties who's been sometime in politics probably know him much better. And I think his name was one of the good names that came up as one of the prospects who could have been the chairperson for this convention.
Was William Gamedi proposed by the Democratic Alliance?
Well, it came from a few political parties, obviously from DA, from other political parties as well, and there were also women. There were other men who was mentioned. I don't know all their names yet. But at the end of the day, the team has decided, okay, they're happy with the proposal. I think we did vote based on his background in political negotiations, and I think of coalitions rather. And I think that the team has agreed to it. And I'm sure nobody would have recommended him if he really had a bad name out there in our society. So the team were happy, and I'm personally myself happy. So I didn't pick up any favoritism from his side. And if it comes up in the future, there's other political parties involved in this charter. We'll definitely pick it up, and we will definitely take action against it. And then we will request that he be removed as the chairperson the moment he favors any party, or specifically the party who has recommended him to be part or to be the chairperson.
Doesn't it concern you? I mean, you said to me you know nothing about him, but he just seemed to be a nice guy, and that really. This is why research is such an important thing, because he clearly, if this information that I've got is correct, and I have no reason to doubt it, he clearly has a very, very strong tie-up with the richest families in South Africa. I'm talking about Nicky Oppenheimer, and I'm talking about Johan Rupert. Now, those guys are all over the ANC like a rash. They're basically running the country. And what you don't want to be is in a pact where you've got the same two wealthy families basically pulling all the strings. And if I look at William Gamedi's history with the Oppenheimers, it appears to me that you've actually walked into a trap. That's what I'm seeing here. Because
okay, Scott,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, maybe what I should say is that Professor William Comede.
Sorry, guys, this is South African internet.
job
again.
was not to decide which direction. So he just made sure that whatever is on the agenda, he will give everybody a fair chance. The team of the political parties will come to consensus, but he has no influence in deciding in which direction is this multi-party charter for South Africa is going into. There's an agenda for him, and he must just chair according to the agenda. And then the parties will come to consensus. Everybody will raise their opinion or make comments or whatever they need to, or remarks they want to make. They will give it an opportunity, and he is just basically there just to make sure that the process is going smoothly and not taking sides. I think that was his job. It could have been you, Scott. You could have been also there. Do you understand? If you had I know you will.
Yeah, but
I don't know whose side you're going to take, but you're going to be there.
Yeah, well, I'm actually wearing the
But
Spectrum.
I'm sure-
I'm actually wearing the Spectrum T-shirt at the moment, so just so you know. But no, Chris, look, as you said yourself, you are really new to politics. You've been in politics 4 years. That's it. You don't know what a dirty business politics is. It is the
Absolutely.
dirtiest business around. You know, it
Absolutely.
makes the mafia gangs look like absolute amateurs. And
Absolutely.
when it comes to power and politics, believe me, the things that go on behind the scenes that you don't know about are quite extraordinary. And I would suggest that I can forward you this information after this live stream, but I would suggest that you raise this with we can't really raise it with William, but I would raise it with the other leaders in the pact and say, look, if this is a fact, are we not tying ourselves up with the same issue that the major parties have got, because they're beholden to the Oppenheimers and the Ruperts? I mean, what you don't want to do is to find yourself being compromised.
Right, absolutely. Scott, regarding the coalition, it is also true that the DA wanted to go in a coalition with the ANC. The DA leader, John Stevenson, make it publicly known that they are going in coalition with the ANC 2024. But somehow things have turned sour between the relationship between the two of them. Before the 21 elections, I bumped into Zille on my way to Johannesburg to meet with our SNP leaders there in Johannesburg. I bumped into her and I asked her, I just bumped into her somehow. Yeah. And I asked her in the bus on our way to the plane, I asked her, why do you want to go in a coalition with the ANC? And she said something to me that blew my mind.
Yeah.
She said, we as the DA rather go in coalition with the ANC to see that the EFF is going in coalition with the ANC. When the EFF is going to go in coalition with the ANC, just remember, this country will be destroyed. There will be civil war, and all that will take place, and blood will be shed all over South Africa when the EFF gets in power with the ANC. So then she feels it's better that they go, and they can rather control and assist the ANC moving this country forward. So that was her direct words to myself and our former Deputy President, David Kotze, who was in the bus with Zille. And to a certain extent, yes, it makes sense, because by everybody's fearing if the EFF when the EFF is going to go in coalition with the ANC, and I think the EFF said they don't want to go in coalition with the ANC, but when the ANC drops under 50%, then the EFF will be the kingmaker, and they're going to come up with a lot of demands and say, okay, you are under 50%. The ANC, you are under 50%. If you want to go over 50% and you want to stay in power, then we demand to be the president. Julius Malema demand to be the president of South Africa. And that is what the DA feared to avoid to happen. So it is going to be really a challenge. Nobody knows at this moment yet who's going to win the 24 elections. It's going to be a challenge, and I'm telling you, but we as the multi-party charter for South Africa is doing everything in our power to get as many civil organizations, to get as many churches, many political parties to be part of this this multi-party charter of multi-party government. That is what we really want to achieve. So, should the team feel that, of the other party leaders feels that Professor William Komede is going to shouldn't be part of this team, or to be the chairperson, and then it must be brought up, because the information I also see what you have received, and I will definitely bring it up in our next meeting, which will be next week on Thursday, and then definitely it will be part of our discussion on our agenda to discuss the way forward with Professor William Comedian. But so far, honestly, from my side, you know what, I'm a pastor, I've got a discerning spirit, and the moment I pick something is not the way it's supposed to be, there's favoritism, then definitely I will bring it up with other party leaders, because I have a very good relationship with the other party leaders,
Right.
like Neil de Beer, Ikata Freedom Party, Isenko. So I really have a good relationship with them, and I'm sure we are not going to shoot ourselves in the foot by having somebody on board who is really part of doing what they're supposed to do.
Right. Now, look, I just want to share with you an article that I read. But before I do, I just want to show everybody watching something. Now, what I've got here is a two-headed coin. Okay, you've got Churchill on the one side, and you've got Queen Elizabeth II on the other side. It's a 1965 crown. Now, the reason I'm actually showing this is because you know when you do a coin toss, you've got heads or tails. Now, if you've got heads on both sides of the coin, well, you can't lose, can you? Now, the reason I'm saying this is because the Democratic Alliance, even though they've formed this multi-party charter of South Africa, they're basically putting you on the second side of the coin, because their primary aim is to form a coalition with the ANC. But they say if they get a majority in 2024, then they will go with the coalition pact. And it just sounds to me, when I read this article, that the Democratic Alliance, the IFP, the Freedom Front Plus, Spectrum National Party, etc., they're basically just been, it's like sitting there in the back row, and if they need you, then they're going to come and say, okay, guys, let's go and do this. But there doesn't seem to be any real drive to make this coalition from their side. It's just something to sit there in the background so that they can capture power regardless of which way things go. Doesn't that make you feel kind of like, you know, there's a rather, well, I'm going to say that there's an old South African saying called sucking hind tit, and I mean that doesn't make you kind of feel like this coalition, the people who are on it, are in that sort of position?
Scott, not at all. Like I said, it was the discussion with the DA and ANC previously. They had the type of discussions before to join, but we have signed a declaration at the convention on the second day of this convention, saying we all agree that we will not allow any political party who is sleeping in the same bed with the ANC to be part of this charter. The DA also signed a declaration saying that they will not join the ANC in a coalition 2024 when the ANC goes under 50% and they need even the DA support. And should the DA do that, I think then DA will lose their, what is the right word, the integrity. They will definitely, all our other parties will really do everything in our power to destroy the DA as much as we can if they really want to drop us like that, because why we have agreed in the declaration, in media, in newspapers, on TV, we have declared that we will not be part of the ANC. So I think for the DA to do that, Scott, I think it is going to be suicidal for the DA and will probably become the end of them sometime soon if they do that. And nobody ever will trust the DA ever again. And South Africa should not trust the DA, because if DA can do this to this charter, then they are basically betraying South Africa by doing that. And our plan is here to remove the ANC from power, and here the DA keep the ANC in power. I think it's going to be suicidal for themselves as well, for their families and for their friends and for our country. So I think it's going to be very immature to behave like it and join them. And it doesn't make sense. Here we're fighting to remove them, and here you go and join them. So I don't know which political parties are willing to join them. At this moment, I don't even know the EFF will join them. So ANC is standing on a on a rock, and they don't know, on a coin, they don't know which side is the coin is going to fall. It's going to be head or tail. But Cyril Ramaphosa make it very clear on publicly and say that the ANC don't even stress, they don't even worry, or don't even feel intimidated by this multi-party charter for South Africa. So, so ANC should worry. They need to worry because the people who came to vote in 2021 elections was 5 million. And ANC had about 11 million in the 2019 elections. 21 elections, 5 million. I think ANC should definitely worry because why supporters are leaving them in all countries. They're losing too much supporters because people are tired of the ANC now. And time has now arrived that we move now to greener pastures. And I think the multi-party charter for South Africa is the solution for South Africa. And what is going to be so unique about this multi-party government is that we will watch one another. All of us will share responsibilities. There's nobody in charge here. So all of us will have a responsibility. Although, okay, maybe it's probably later in a point where we can discuss about how's the cabinet going to look like, who will be the president. And I think as we're going through your agenda, I will share more about that later on.
Right. Well, look, I had a live stream about 2 weeks ago with the leader of the African Christian Democratic Party, ACDP, who, as you know, have refused to join this multi-party coalition. And Kenneth Michaud, when I asked him why he didn't join, he made a very, very insightful observation. And he said, you know, before you actually go to the polls and vote, you do not make a coalition because it never works. Because once the votes are out there and people are counting and they say, oh, I'm going to go and talk to this guy, I'm going to talk to that guy. So whatever's been said before goes out the window. So, okay, and that will happen with the Democratic Alliance. If John Steenhuisen can become vice president of South Africa by forming a coalition with the ANC, he will. He won't even think twice about it. And he'll forget all about this multi-pact charter. I mean, it means nothing. This is how politics works. Now, Kenneth Michaud, as I said, that's the primary reason why he didn't get involved with this coalition, because he said it's after the vote is when you actually sit down and talk and form coalitions. What do you have to say about that observation?
Scott, right. It is so true what he's saying. The ACDP was part of this in the beginning meetings when we started with this multi-party charter, the Moonshot Pact at that time. They were there just to observe. They were just observers. So the ACDP, I think the deputy president of ACDP, attended about 3 or 4 of that meetings and obviously giving feedback to pastor of the leader of the ACDP, Kenneth Michaud. And they withdrawn themselves from it. And I personally called their officers and I spoke to the officers and I requested that President Michaud call me back because I, as a pastor, was talking with the pastor.
Yeah.
So that I can encourage him to be part of this Moonshot Pact. And I think the day after, the Deputy Secretary General called me back and he said to me, the reason why they have withdrawn himself from this pact is because leader John Steenhuisen make a comment and say that ANC, the enemy, is our enemy of the Moonshot Pact enemy. And they were just scared for their members to work in the communities and they just scared their members will get injured or killed in the communities where they're going to work because the ANC and the EFF are going to see their members now as the enemy also. And that's why he withdrawn himself. And end of the day, Scott, what we're trying to do, that there's no coalition yet. What we as the multi-party charter for South Africa is doing now, we are just building a relationship. We are preparing ourselves. So should we win, should this multi-party charter for South Africa win 2024, then we don't need to sit in meetings and fighting who's going to be the president, how's the cabinet going to look like. We're already preparing ourselves. Should we not win, we're still continuing. And we also have an access clause where we can decide to leave the pact whenever we want to. So we are not bound to say you will stay with this multi-party charter forever. No, you have the right to resign any party, and we just feel it's not going to be beneficial for us to resign. Let us continue and maybe build relationship for the local elections 2026. And then take over municipalities and start working in municipalities and build confidence in our voters and see, look, yeah, we can fix the issues in our country. And then we'll proceed again for the 2029 elections. So, Scott, I don't see any reason why everybody's complaining about the ANC. And I don't see any reason why they cannot be part of this coalition. Even with the Patriotic Alliance, they're all supposed to be part of this Moonshot Pact and also other parties. But some parties feel they don't want to get involved now. They rather want to get involved on the day of election because they don't want to confuse the voters. And it's their right. But we are building a relationship. We are planning. It is what we're currently doing now. The coalition will only be formed the day on election. Once we know, okay, we got now more than 50% of the votes, and we will go in coalition. But it's also going to be a disadvantage to the parties who want to join us on the day of election. Should these 7 parties, I think it's going to be much more because new political parties now are getting registered. Should this coalition of this multi-party charter wins with 50% and more, remember, then we don't need any other political parties to come and join us. But there will also be political parties like want to be the kingmaker. They're going to see ANC standing at 49%, the multi-party charter for South Africa standing on 49%. So each party of each group needs 2% to take them over the 50%. So, but if our team wins more than 50, then we don't need those parties who want to be kingmakers. And I think they're pushing to be kingmakers, and they probably might regret for not being part of us. We want all of them to come on board. So, Patriotic Alliance and DA, they had some personal issues as well with one another. In coalitions, former coalitions, sometimes some parties want to be dictators and they want things go their way, which is so unfair. That's why we sit around the table and come to consensus. And I think that is what is supposed to take place, but it is not happening. So there's a lot of infights and politics, and I want this and I want that and I demand that. And at the end of the day, people don't see the bigger picture. We want to serve South Africa. And if people are willing to work together, how on earth are we going to serve South Africa? But I can honestly say that there is no dictators here in this multi-party charter for South Africa. We all come up with our proposals, we submit it, and then the team come up and say, well, let us get to consensus. And I think that makes this charter so unique. And I've heard it so many times that coalitions don't work. But this time around, I told you, with the morning prayer session, with the spiritual team there, I always went to everybody and make sure that if the tensions are too high, I go to the party leader to say, calm down. I try to keep the peace between all of them. And I think we have just built a very nice relationship with one another these 2 days in Johannesburg or in Kempton Park.
Right. Well, look, I just want to give you a reality check. Okay, now, in the last national elections, the ANC got about 63 or 64% of the vote. And we all know that they're not going to get that in 2024 because people are just pissed off with them. One of the people that I often have on live streams here is a fellow by the name of Muzi Nkosi. Now, Muzi lives in a township, okay? He's in a township in Gauteng. And he says, Scott, it's so frustrating because everybody knows that the service delivery has gone to the dogs. But all those people I talk to, they say, oh, no, we're still going to vote ANC. They can't put 2 and 2 together. So, yes, in the suburbs of Johannesburg and Cape Town and stuff like that, you will probably get a move towards other political parties like yours. But there in the villages and the townships, they're going to vote ANC. So you've got this solid base of people in the rural areas in the townships who will vote ANC. And I doubt if ANC will drop below 50% of the vote, even though I believe there will be a big drop. Now, if you consider that fact, and then you consider the fact that the economic freedom fighters are not going to suddenly drop to 0%. I mean, the young Africans almost worship Julius Malema because he's so, he just stirs up shit the whole time. That's how he gets attention. But he's going to get at least 10% of the vote, at least. He got 14%, I think.
10%. I think It's already on 10%. I think it's already on 10% the last election, 2019 national election. It's on 10% already.
Yeah, yeah. But if you had the ANC and EFF together, let's round it up. That's 60% of the vote. You can't get a majority in your coalition because they have 60% of the vote. So the most you can get is 40%. So that coalition is going nowhere. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, Scott, the ACDP, we need them to come on board. They need to work hard. The UDM, they had a meeting, an interview last night also with Inkatha Freedom Party, Neil de Beer. Last night they want to interview. And in Bantu Lomisa, make it very, very clear. For now, I'm sure that he will join this multi-party charter, but for now, it will only happen on the day of election. NFP, a new Freedom Party also. They was also observer for a while, and we wanted to come on board as well. Bosa, Musi Maimani, and Rise Nanzi. We want all this on board. I think if all of us are going to work, all of us came up with totals, how much can we contribute towards these elections? If all of us are going to work hard, but I can honestly tell you, Scott, this is my personal survey that I have done with Black South Africans now in Johannesburg, now the past 2 days, and also in Cape Town, in other provinces. And I'm telling you, the comments that I get from the Black South Africans is that they are not going to vote for ANC. So we don't know how many of them are not going to vote. It is still going to be, I don't know. We will only see on the day of election, but all of us has committed ourselves to work hard, come up with X amount of votes, and I think it's going to be the only way to get it. And if we don't even make it this time around, we're still going to continue because 2029 elections are still there. But the local elections is also going to help us to form coalitions in local municipalities as well in the 2026 elections. So Scott, what you're saying, yes, we work out figures. I think we're about 15% short of the votes, but all depends how many South Africans are going to vote for the ANC. That's why I always say the Black South Africans are still scared that should the ANC lose, apartheid will come back again. I think that is a lot of Black South Africans' concern. They are scared the white people will treat them exactly the same what happened in the apartheid regime. But people have become clever now. I don't think they are so. It will never happen again. Apartheid will never, ever happen again. And when South Africans join and vote for any one of these parties as part of this multi-party charter for South Africa, their chances that their lives will be changed will be much greater than to be part of the ANC. Because it's been proven, ANC don't care. Who benefits in the ANC? It's only the ANC senior management of leadership. They're the one. They live in mansions while the Black South Africans live in zinc houses, live in areas with there's potholes. So I would really want South Africans, Black South African citizens say, because you are 80% of the country's population, please, you cannot let the same dog bite you again. Because I think we're more matured now. And you know what? When one person says yes, all of them say yes, or the majority of them say yes. And I think South Africans need political education. They need political guidance because people just vote for the party because their parents or their brother or their sister vote for the party, and now they also vote for the party. And we expect as a party say, come on, South Africa, wake up. What is the burning issues we have in our country? The burning issues is inequality. It is crime, it's corruption, it is poor service delivery, and the list is just going on. And Spectrum National Party has started with the right process and saying, because we're the only party in South Africa who says that black, brown, Indian, and white should govern this country together. Everybody's equal rights, equal opportunities, gone with BE and affirmative action. And that is the burning issue that hurts us. It is why some race groups are marginalized because of it. If it's a black party leader, then the majority is black. If it's a white party leader, the majority executive is white. And we feel as a political party, 25% black, 25% brown, 25% Indian, 25% white will govern our S&P. And should S&P get in power, maybe not this time around, maybe the next time, I don't know, politics is unpredictable, then we will make sure when it comes to employment, that all race will be employed. And we are really, really tired, Scott, now really, really tired. And you'll always hear that political parties don't talk about first world country. We are still in the third world country mindset, and it's time that we move out of it. And there's a very good example. Look how nicely Oranje and Free State started. Very, very nice. There's no unemployment. Although some people have a problem, it's only whites. But at the end of the day is, well, what can they do? What can the whites do in South Africa? They have no alternative options than to rather leave the country or starting and building their own kingdom to make sure that they are taken well care. There's nobody unemployed and nobody's homeless. And I take my hat off for Oranje. There's another example. It's called Mondragon in Spain. Mondragon is a city on its own. There is no lack. There's no unemployment. It is a cooperative. And I still believe that cooperatives are the solution for South Africa. We all benefit. Nobody's unemployed. Everybody's working. Everybody's well taken care of. If we are not going to go that route, then where are we going to find ourselves in the next 10, 20 years, Scott? This country will be destroyed. And we have all the minerals. We have all the resources. What is our problem in our country? We just have the wrong party in power who cannot take us forward. The old politicians in the NEC, the NEC members, National Executive Council in the ANC who make decisions for the party, they are too old. Their mind is too old. We need young blood like Spectrum who thinks modern, who thinks in the fifth industrial revolution. And if we cannot think in the fifth industrial revolution, then we're going to stuck as a third world country. And we have no time to stuck in a third world country. Our kids are smarter than our adults today because while they're up to date what's going on, and we need to keep up with our youth today. And Spectrum is so unique. We even have a deputy youth president. We even have a deputy, a provincial chair who's youth in Mpumalanga. We have a Free State youth a chairperson for the Free State. Talented, smart, young men who can say we can lead, and they've proven to us that they can lead. So why are parties excluding our youth? ANC don't need youth in Parliament. What is happening? Because why they need that young blood to help them, taking them to the next level. But it's very clear that ANC don't care for South African youth. Well, they promote it, but it's not happening. And Spectrum say, youth, we are going to develop you because you are going to be our future president, our future leaders. And it is what we are standing for. So we're fighting for righteousness, although we struggle with some women as well. And ladies sometimes they are very sensitive. We're trying to get more women on board. We have in our Northern Cape a woman to be who's our current chairperson for the Northern Cape, and we're also going to appoint also now somebody in the Western Cape also take over as the woman chairperson. We also might have now also a woman taking over in KZN. So we really want to promote women also in our party and say women, or actually in fact that we are not looking at specifically at the gender. We're looking at the right person for the job. Can you do the job? In politics, it's not for babies. There's no time to cry here. Although we've seen many women crying, maybe it's the more soft-hearted women. But there are strong women out there who will stand their ground and say, I am going to stand up for righteousness. And this is what we need, Scott. Somebody stand up and say, enough is now enough, and I'm going to give my contribution in helping taking South Africa forward.
Well, look, I think the only way that this coalition has got any hope at all of getting up there is by inspiring people in the rural areas, getting through to the villages, getting through to the African population in those areas. Because as someone, inspector wrote here, there are 27 million people who are either unregistered or abstain. That's about half of the voting public. If you, as a party or a coalition, were able to somehow inspire those people and get a clear message out to them that you're going to change South Africa, then I think you would have a chance, because you'd have new blood coming in voting for new parties. But if you can't get through to that huge group of voters, potential voters, you haven't got a chance in heck.
Absolutely, Scott. There is 26 million in, let's say, 4,501 registered voters currently, according to the stats I've seen earlier tonight. 26 million. In other 26 million, how many of that people is going to vote? I'm telling you, it's probably about 15 to 20 million. So there's about another 6, 7 to 10 million people who don't go and vote. I think that is a huge concern. This is why we encourage all the South Africans to please make sure when there's going to be another voting registration weekend in November. I think it's going to be the 18th and the 19th, or the 17th and the 18th. I'm just make sure again a date. That we need to encourage our youth to go out there. Those who never voted before, please go and vote. Those who decided not to vote anymore, please go and vote. Just don't vote for EFF and ANC. It's all what we can encourage South Africans. Vote for any political party of your choice. But please, you need this time around. Otherwise, some people feel all political parties are the same. That is not the truth. That is not the truth. All parties are not the same, because we haven't given the other political parties opportunity to be in government or to be in charge of a municipality or a province or South Africa. I think it's time that we all go now together, stand together, encourage our family and friends, that all of us go there. If your child is turned 18, make sure that your child go and register to vote on this voting registration weekend, registration weekend. It is so important, Scott, and you are so right. And we have already discussed it as part of our agenda points. We need to reach those people who never went to vote, and that is going to be critical. I think that is going to be the turnaround for us and to beat the ANC from power. So if we can get all that people who never voted before, who never registered to vote, to come and vote for any of this multi-party charter for South Africa parties, then I'm sure that the ANC is going to be in bigger trouble.
Right. Okay, look, I want to share another article that has just surfaced in the last few days with you and get your comments on this. The IFP hold tense talks on multi-party charter with its youth brigade, which questions the pact. Now, clearly the pact has moved forward quite quickly, but there's obviously some trouble behind the scenes within political parties and their own structures. How are you going to deal with things like that?
Yeah, Scott, I don't always trust the what is posted on me. I remember you understand one thing, and the viewers need to understand one thing: the ANC will do anything in their power to get people to send up fake news out there, to people to make sure that that there is there's no unity amongst this charter. People are trying it. They're doing it in its videos and false information that is spread around on social media. I personally don't take note of it. I always tell our party leaders, don't listen to all this nonsense that people are posting on social media. And they try to bring division amongst this charter. And we encourage them. I don't want to hear things because I'm personally involved in this charter. And I can just act on behalf of the party, what I personally know and what has been discussed in our meetings. So yeah, people want to bring division amongst us, and we told each other, don't listen to any nonsense. There's been a lot of challenges that is being posted, and we always, for example, if something shared about the John Steenhuisen of the DA, what we're doing is when we see any news that we feel it might be the truth, we send that same information to Leader John Steenhuisen on a group, and then he must give us an answer. Is it the truth or not the truth? You understand? And then we try to figure out, but yes, people are doing this to break up this coalition because why? ANC, you know what, they want to stay in power, but they cannot lead by an example, Scott. So, yeah, you know what, as the leader of the Inkatha Freedom Party, I can honestly say that this team really, they come forth as very serious. They signed the declaration, they're committing themselves that they are not going to go in coalition with the ANC. And I don't think, and if they don't do any political party now who's part of this multi-party charter, Scott, who's breaking away and join the ANC, we will never, ever trust them again. You cannot make an agreement. I don't understand it's politics, but you cannot come and make an agreement publicly in front of all the media and suddenly you turn away. And then I think the voters of that political party will then realize that this person is not a man of a party of integrity, and they will lose a lot of voters. Yeah. Every political party wants power. Everybody wants to get involved in a political party where they will be in a senior structure. Who don't want to be the deputy president? Who don't want to be a minister? I think every political party leader wants to find himself there, and they will probably do anything in their power to get there. But this time around, I think it's going to be suicidal for any political party want to go in a coalition with the ANC, because their members will definitely leave them, and because they're going to feel like you are betraying our political party. And I think parties should be very careful thinking about going and join the ANC in coalition.
Right. Look, there's another document I want to share with you. And I came again, someone sent this to me when they heard we were having this discussion. And it's a very interesting document. I'll actually send it to you because it runs to about 100 pages, but it basically gives you an in-depth history with a whole lot of references, which you can see here, about the Democratic Alliance political party and its history. And it's something that I think you should study because it'll give you a better understanding of who you're getting in bed with. And look, in any relationship, when you meet a nice girl, you go through this honeymoon stage, and then you really get to know each other, and then the classic comment for women, which really puts you in your place, is whatever. That's a killer punch. But you go through this sort of romantic stage where you're looking at everything through rose-tinted glasses, and we're looking at about 8 months before, or 9 months before the elections. That's a lot of time for the wheels to start falling off, because it's that 6 month period where everything seems cool, but then so and so's doing this and he's doing that behind my back, and all of a sudden it's a cat fight. Don't you think there's a danger of that happening as you approach the election?
Scott, to be honest with you, I'm not really much worried about what is currently happening now, what people are saying, or what I respect the National Party has declared, that we commit ourselves to this multi-party charter for South Africa. So did the other political parties who was there. I'm not going to take it lightly what people are sharing on social media about the DA and some other political parties. All I can say, the team has agreed, and for any political party who want to go in coalition with the ANC, they're going to lose a lot of members, because a lot of members of political parties don't want to see that their party is affiliated with the ANC. So whoever wants to join the ANC, they're going to commit suicide, and their party is going to drop in numbers. They can go there, they will get the votes. Nothing they can do now, because once they take their votes that the ANC needs, then that political party leader will then become probably the deputy president or a minister in the cabinet, or hopefully the president of the party of the country. But the next election, that party members, they are not going to vote for the party. So if they want to commit suicide by building up a lot of a database of members, and to lose them at the next election, I think that party is committing suicide. I think the elections will be the next. Okay, remember, we're in August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. May month is 9 months. Then the 5-year term ends for the ANC ruling now, okay, of governing this government. So it's 9 months, and there's a 90-day grace period when the next election must take place. So which means the 24 elections can take place May, June, or July. May, June, or July. So basically, we got about between 9 and 12 months left before the next elections. But we don't nobody knows the date of the elections, because the president of the ANC, he will definitely announce it, and then he will say which date will the elections be. So, so work out between 9 and 12, between 9 and 11, 12 months basically will the next elections be. I think it was the 17th of May, if I'm not mistaken, or 16th of May 2019. Yeah, I think it was the last election. So we must work it out in 12 months from there. Five years from there, and then a 90 days period for the next day. That's why when it came to the 2021 local elections, remember there was a debate. The ANC wanted this elections to be postponed for another few more months. And the Constitutional Court has decided no, they cannot, according to the Constitution, the election must take place within 90 days after the 5-year term.
Yeah. Well, look, I hope that it works. I really do. But I do think you need to do a lot of research into the Democratic Alliance, because they've had problems in Mossel Bay, which are sort of similar to the corruption claims of ANC and other municipalities. It's not a squeaky clean party, and it's the affiliation with. I guess you heard that one of their big donors last year was the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, huge amount of money, and then Alan Wind a few weeks later starts suggesting kids need to be vaccinated before they go to school. That these sort of things are real red flags that one's got to consider, because they're obviously beholden to the paymaster, and That's one of my concerns about these big parties, because they do have outside influences controlling them.
Mm. Yeah, we will pick it up, Scott. We will pick it up easily. We will pick it up what agenda is pushed through. The moment we will see there's another force behind it, then we will pick it up. I think our party leaders, they are very sharp. They also know what's happening out throughout the world. Probably might not know everything, but the moment we pick up there's any other force, and everything is about consensus. I think there's no party actually who can dictate here in this charter, Scott. Nobody's dictating here. There's always maybe agreements. We will vote for an agreement, and obviously the parties, the majority parties, will always win. So DA cannot dictate, and John Steenhuisen make it also very, very clear. Doesn't mean that they are the second biggest party in South Africa or the biggest party in this charter that he should get the position as the president. The pact or the charter is going to decide that, and not specifically the DA. Nobody. I can do this. I can become the president 2024. I can become the deputy president. I can become the minister. You understand? So that decision we're still going to make. So I think John said it himself. Doesn't mean that I am the biggest party in this charter that I should be the president. But we will discuss that at a later stage throughout the year. So when we get to 24 elections, then everybody knows exactly what will his or her position be in this government when we take over this country. But everybody's positive. We can do it. We still just need more independence. We still need UDM and NFP and BOSA and RISE, Zanzi and ACDPs and all these parties. And even if Patriotic Alliance come and join us, there's nobody dictating here. If they're going to come and join, whichever party is joining us is not coming to dictate here. We have rules, and we're going to abide to the rules. And I think there's order. Scott, here is order here in this charter. I can honestly tell you that here is nobody dictating here. And if you dictate here, we will tell you this is not the right time for that. It's not the right time. We're discussing national elections. We are not discussing local elections. So if somebody step out of line, the parties, we will quickly stop it. And the chairperson will also step in and say, oh, this is not now, this is for the other meeting, or this is for a meeting outside this meeting. So it's going very well. I can assure the South Africans. Will it turn out bad or sour at the later stage? It is too easy to say that. At this moment, it is going very, very well. I think the love for one another, the hugs, okay, like I always say, this is politics, you can't always trust, but you always sleep with one eye open. You don't want to go to sleep with somebody smiling with you, and you think somebody's smiling, in the meantime, it will stab you in the back. So, yeah, we keep our eyes open. And I always tell the team as well, let us be genuine and honest with one another. It's going to be no benefit to you trying to betray this charter. Let us be open and honest with one another here. We are adults, we are party leaders. And I'm sure, Scott, everybody wants to be the president of this country. I want to be the president of the country, because Spectrum got their own way how they want to run this country, and so does the other parties. So any party can also win, Scott. If the DA wins with 51%, they're going to run this country. If Spectrum wins with 51%, then Spectrum run this country. So, but we all know it's not going to be possible right now. Freedom Front, in Inkatha, they're trying for many, many years now to try to beat the ANC or even beat the DA. And they cannot get there, don't even get half to the amount of votes that the DA and the ANC has got. So the Freedom Front in Inkatha, Freedom Party, they have no option to be part of a charter or a pact who can help us taking this pact over the 51%. And otherwise, we're just going to be there for many, many, many years and just trying to win, and we get nowhere. So Spectrum started with the process. We started with black, brown, Indian, and white covering this country. This race issue is a problem, but people in South Africa believe they are black, brown, Indian, and white. That's what people believe. If we can remove that words black, brown, Indian, and white and say we are South African citizens, who's going to get a job? They always ask the people, right? That's square. That's fair and square. Let us say we are also African citizens. But now, when it comes to employment, Scott, if you are white HR, who are you going to employ? We're going to say, okay, we're going to employ you based on experience and merit or whatever, but I'm sure you're going to employ more whites. You're going to favor more whites to get a job, and then the fight starts again. So if it's going to be an Indian HR, it's probably going to employ more Indian people. So for now, we're going to keep it black, brown, Indian, and white benefit equally. So if there's 100 jobs, 25% black, 25% white, 25% brown, and 25% Indian will get it. If an Indian resign, we just replace it with the Indian. If a white resign, we replace it with a white. who is in a position or has the qualifications. So we need to fix it, Scott. We need to fix it. We cannot go on anymore. I'm tired of fighting and to see that certain races are marginalized. It is not fair towards certain race group in this country. That's why I don't know where they came in with these race issues, but it is doing so much harm to certain race groups. And we can see in our poorer communities how it's going. The gangsters and drugs, they can't find jobs. They need to kill, to rob, to steal, to survive. I'm working in Mrs. Plain here. Between my church is between, as a pastor. Those don't know, I'm a pastor also. I work here between the gangsters. When I approach them as a pastor, I just want a job. There's nobody working in my house. Pastor, there's nobody working. We must eat. I have no option to sell drugs. I have no option to steal, to rob, and to kill, because to steal, to rob, and to kill brings me money in. I can take from my money, I can go home, the lights will be on, there will be food on the table, and that is what we're going through. And government is not doing enough to really reach out to these youngsters there. And they are young guys, very, very, very young. But they say, what can I do? This is the only quickest way I can earn money. So when they go for a job, a lot of them are dropouts, and there's a problem, Scott. It is no government is not supporting them. So we need to draw the line somewhere and say, come on, people, we need to really fix South Africa. And how are we going to fix it? 2024, we have now another opportunity to fix South Africa.
Right. Now, look, I'll be wrapping up this live stream shortly, Chris, but there are a couple of things I just want to run past you. First off is I know, well, I've had several live streams with Neil de Beer in the past, and I know last year he had a very, very bad time with cancer. But he seems to be back on his two legs, and he seems to be up and going again. And if you can just say hello to Neil from me, and the same, if you can also just say hi to Peter Groenewald as well from Freedom Front Plus. And look, I would love to have, I think I've had Peter on once a long time ago on a live stream, but I'd love to have him back, in the lead up to the 2024 election. Because, certainly I would like to give the multi-party charter some coverage here on Loving Life TV. And the reason I've raised some questions tonight is because it's still very early in the piece, and it's important that you know that there are people out there, and it's quite a substantial number of people who have concerns about the affiliation of the Democratic Alliance with the very wealthy families in South Africa, because then you know who's going to be pulling all the strings. But yeah, look, I've got a couple of questions here for you.
Yeah, sure.
Inspector says, Spectrum is right to be positive and put shoulder to the wheel. Even the Democratic Alliance needs the others. Please ask Chris what they know about the World Health Organization's attempted power grab.
Yeah. Okay, for that list. Okay, where's Jan van Riebeeck, Scott? When last did he tune in?
Jan van Riebeeck is based in Europe, and I haven't seen Jan now. He's a good friend of Loving Life, but I haven't seen him on a live stream for a couple of months. But I know that there was some. I don't want to go into the background, but there are good reasons why he can't actually come on the internet at the moment. Yeah.
He always comments when I'm normally live. He normally comments. So unfortunately, I didn't hear from him in a while. Now that's why I'm asking. Scott, yeah, the viewer who just asked a question.
Yeah.
Okay, let us talk about some political parties believe in the one world order system, and some believe in that, and some. All what we want to say, what I want to say from a Spectrum party leader is, we want to give you as a South African citizen the best. Doesn't matter in which form it comes. Whether it's a one world order, but the real one world order has got a lot of bad things that they want to really apply to South Africans as well. And I'm a pastor, I cannot allow things that is ungodly. They want to bring up now, you can marry now one man and a woman. You can marry now, this is the bills they want to pass. You can marry two wives and a man, or you can marry two men and one wife. You can marry your daughter. You can, there's a unisex toilet. And all this nonsense
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
that is happening now. Unfortunately, as the party leader of Spectrum, we cannot tolerate this ungodly behavior.
yeah.
You understand? I asked a question to somebody. People say, "What's your party stance on gays and lesbians?" I always tell people, I give them the following answer: we are not there to judge them. They are South African citizens. They should also get jobs like anybody else. They should not be marginalized. But there's certain rules also, Scott. For example, if two gay couples they decide to get married, and they need to go to school and they adopt two children or one child, they go and drop the kid off at school, come pick up the child at school, and now while the child is playing with his friends, and this child is saying, "Oh, there's my mommy and my daddy coming." Two males. There's my mommy and my daddy coming. His school friends is going to laugh
Yeah.
at that boyki, and he's going to feel so embarrassed. He don't want to go to school anymore. How could he have two males as a mommy and a daddy? So there's certain things that we're going to say, okay, there's a fine line for everything. If the gays and lesbians believe what they believe, there's nothing that we can do about it. But there's certain laws that we cannot approve. If they want to live like it, it is their choice. But our pastors had a big issue with it and say, how on earth can I marry two men? Or how on earth can I marry two women? According to the biblical constitution, the Bible, it is not biblical that man and man or woman and woman should get married. So, but still, I still respect them. It is their opinion. It is the way they think. They still believe that God loves them. So there's a fine line for certain laws that we need to approve. But the one world order system, if there's good things coming from it, yes, we will accept it. But if it is totally ungodly, we expect the Minister Party will not buy into that.
Well, it is ungodly because it's run by the World Economic Forum, who want to bring in transhumanism, which takes away your soul. There's your answer to that one. Now, look, I've got a question here from Leah, who says, and this is related to what you were just saying, please ask if all the leaders of the parties are God-fearing people.
Right. Our white deputy, okay, let me start with the deputy presidents. The Indian deputy president is a born-again Christian. She's not a pastor, but she's a born-again Christian. But remember, we are not a Christian party. We are a party for South Africans. But I'm just saying at the moment. Myself is an apostle. I'm ordained by Dr. Trotter from the United States. I've been ordained here in Cape Town by him about 5 years ago. Our white deputy president, Charles Ventes Pretoria, is also an apostle. Our black deputy president is also born again Christian, stays in Free State. And our brown deputy president, he is also a church leader. He's also in charge of the choir. So we have really got God-fearing men and women on our top structure. And I think this is what South Africa needs. Really God-fearing men and women. I spoke to many pastors. I got a group of about 256 pastors throughout South Africa from all cultural groups, race groups. And, I said to the pastors, we're praying for a God-fearing government. But if you're not going to get involved in politics, how on earth do you think is the church going to take control of this country? And I think it doesn't still seem to me that a lot of pastors are really serious when it takes and govern. God has given us the mandate to govern, to manage. But if we don't get involved, forget about it. You're going to pray until Jesus comes and nothing is going to happen. So I encourage pastors out there, come on board, come and be part. It has changed this country. We can change it. We have everything we need. It is here. But we have the wrong leadership, wrong management who cannot manage. And the Bible says, whatever you don't manage, you will lose it. And that is what the ANC is doing. They cannot manage. And this is why we lose everything.
Right.
Everything. But prior to 1994, remember what has happened? Everything is built up so nicely. The infrastructure was there. And after 94, everything is just falling down. And there's nothing happening. Not even a new city has been built. And it is very embarrassing to see what the ANC government can do, or the abilities what they can do.
Yeah. Now, look,
cannot do.
I've got another question for you from Shavesh. He says, problem with the multi-party charter. If the people of South Africa do not want something in the policy, will the multi-party charter remove it, or what?
Yeah, I can understand. Maybe I'll explain to you all the policies in Constitution. It is currently there. Remember when before we do pass a bill, there's a voting in Parliament. When, for example, say same-sex marriages, for example, if a one party bring this in, this to be part of the agenda in Parliament, and then it will be discussion, and then there's always normally a vote process to pass that bill or not to pass that bill. So whatever is in our current constitution, when the multi-party charter wins, remember, we got two choices now. Or we allow the ANC to continue governing this country, or we got another option now to say that this multi-party charter needs to govern this country. South Africans need to give us an opportunity. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but they need to give us. Rather start something new, something fresh, than to continue with the same dog is biting every time. So we're going to look at all the existing policies and all in the Constitution. We will definitely make a lot of changes in our country's existing Constitution and also policies. And only the ruling party, who's the most votes in Parliament, normally can pass a bill based on the amount of people are voting. So yes, we need to look at everything, and we're definitely going to make a lot of amendments and changes to our existing policies to meet the need of all South African citizens and not an individual race group.
Right. Now, is there anything you'd like to say in wrapping up this live stream, Chris?
Yeah, Scott, and to all the viewers out there, I just want to encourage you. Remember, Spectrum is standing for equal race governance. That's what we're standing for. We believe that all races benefit equally in this country. We buy with BE in affirmative action. We don't stand for it. It's also your right to believe what you believe. And we as a political party want to tell you that we can fix South Africa. Spectrum can get in power. But because don't think at how small we are. Look at what we can offer South Africa. We don't want to talk about this now, unemployed and the homeless and all that. We want to say, can we take South Africa to a first world country? Yes, we have the ability. God has really blessed me of the fifth industrial revolution mindset and thinking. We are looking at sustainable solutions for this country. We are want to fix the issues. Every issue, we want to do an assessment. When we get in power, we're going to go through all the sectors, all the departments, and we're going to sit down for the first month and 2 and 3. We want to sit, and because we don't know what is actually happening with finances wise, because everything is not the truth. We want to get a professional team in power who's going to from all the sectors, and we're going to form another cabinet of a team who can give us advice. We don't know everything. We need the experts to be in that team or in that cabinet to assist us in helping us in fixing the issues we're facing in this country. And all what we say to South Africa is we have now, again, another opportunity to remove the ANC from power. If you never voted before, go out there and go and vote for your party of choice. Please, not the ANC and not the EFF. If you're going to do that, remember, we're going to face another 5 years of suffering and oppression under the ANC government. You can visit our website, www.spectrumnationalparty.co.za, and Spectrum is already in all 9 provinces. We even in Australia. Ask Scott, just look at his goals that he's got on. We shipped it through to Scott there in Australia in the 2019 elections. We got people from Greece. I'm telling you, South Africa, there is hope. Make Spectrum your number one. And I can promise you, as a pastor, as the leader, that I will make sure that your life will be taken care of. I will make sure, as a party leader, that your life will change. Scott, I thank you, and I thank you all the viewers that continue supporting Loving Life. Scott is an excellent, this channel is really a very great channel where you can learn a lot from what is happening all over the world. And I really appreciate you, Scott, for once again to host me again, to be your guest for tonight.
You're very welcome, Chris, and we'll clearly speak to you before the elections, probably a couple of times, but have a great evening and take care.
Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you all. Thank you. Good night.
Bye. All right, guys, that was Christopher Claasen from the leader of Spectrum National Party. And I just want to thank the moderators for looking after the side chat, as you do. And I'm going to go out with, let me see, I'm going to go out with Op Ons Rots, you know, that lovely theme song by Anthony Thomas. Here we go. Have a great evening, guys, and don't forget, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Johannesburg time, we have another live stream.
Ons loop hand aan hand op goue warm sand. So baie wat ek wil hê, so baie dit brand. Ek staan op my rots met golwe wat bots. Ons het geen vrees, want hy is in beheer. Ons sien al die planne van goddeloze manne. Ons weet hulle gaan nie wen nie. Dis geskryf soos 'n duif. Ons sal wen, aanhou glo, want hy is in beheer. Die winde waai sterk, dis kragte wat werk. Die gevoel in my hart, dis vrees wat wil brand. Ons is boere met trots, met my hand teen my bors. Ons ken geen vrees, want hy is in beheer. Ons sien al die planne van goddeloze manne. Ons weet hulle gaan nie wen nie. Dis geskryf soos 'n duif. Ons sal wen, aanhou glo, want hy is in beheer. Ons sien wat gebeur, die leuen sal ons nie steur. Kom staan nog 'n keer, ek is stil, want ek weet hy is in beheer. Ons sien al die planne van goddeloze manne. Ons weet hulle gaan nie wen nie. Dis geskryf soos 'n duif. Ons sal wen, aanhou glo, want hy is in beheer. Ons sien al die planne van goddeloze manne. Ons weet hulle gaan nie wen nie. Dis geskryf soos 'n duif. Ons sal wen, aanhou glo, want hy is in beheer. Ja, hy is in beheer.